Good afternoon, everyone. Super Kami Guru Alucard. Welcome back to another review. This one will be on Stephen King's Firestarter. It is the 37th book I've read and 37th review overall. So, yeah, because therapy had drained me and homework took so much time every day to complete, there just wasn't really much time to read for a while. But when it concluded, I flew through the rest of this book that I had started, partly through it, at a pretty steady pace. It's the 37th book I've read of Stephen King's so far, and it was quite enjoyable. Get out, quickly. She's never done anything like this before, and I don't know if she can stop. Andy McGee and Vicky Tomlinson were once college students looking to make some extra cash, volunteering as test subjects for an experiment orchestrated by the clandestine government organization known as the Shop. But the outcome unlocked exceptional latent psychic talents for the two of them, manifesting in even more terrifying ways when they fell in love and had a child. Their daughter Charlie has been gifted with the most extraordinary and uncontrollable power ever seen: pyrokinesis, the ability to create fire with her mind. Now the merciless shop agents are in hot pursuit to apprehend this unexpected genetic anomaly for their own diabolical ends, by any means necessary, including violent actions that may well ignite the entire world around them, as Charlie retaliates with a fury of her own. His highest Fahrenheit reading yet. Eerie, scary, goes beyond frightening, terrifying, gripping. Firestarter. So, some people criticize it for having similarities to his other novel, Carrie, with the use of psychic powers. However, the bond between father and daughter, and the main bad guy, John Rainbird, who is absolutely terrifying, sick, deranged, and very evil and crafty, make it a great story with a nicely hopeful ending, especially because Stephen King books don't always have that. So it ended rather nicely for that. So, for horror factor, I gave it 8 out of 10. It's not completely terrifying, but there are still some parts that are quite scary. For story quality, I gave it 9 out of 10 because it's a beautifully written story for the most part. I would say the only reason I knock off a point is there is some things in the story that I kind of would have liked a little more detail on, but overall still quite well executed. For suspense intensity, it's flammable for the imagination because it just builds and builds and builds, and that's what makes it great. Um, the tension just keeps rising and rising as the story goes on. Memorable characters, I would give it 9 out of 10 as well because all the characters were quite good for the most part. Some minor characters were forgettable, but the characters he really does shed light on, you can't forget them because they're all quite great. So, yeah. Horror factor 8 out of 10, story quality 9 out of 10, suspense intensity 10 out of 10, memorable characters 9 out of 10, gives it the overall rating of 36 out of 40. There are some things I think could have been more detailed, as I said before, but what is there will spark a fire in a reader's mind and heart. My final thoughts is that it has a well-deserved iconic name and reputation. The story held on to my interest right till the end, even when I had to take large breaks in between because of therapy, which I think speaks for how good of a book it really is. Because usually some people, if they start reading a book and they put it down for a while and don't really read much, they forget the story, kind of lose interest in it. because then they have to catch up or remember how it was. Whereas this one was effectively very good at doing that. It stuck in my mind even when I stopped reading it for a while because it was very enjoyable when I could read some. So when I put it down for a while, completed therapy, I still could remember everything that happened. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like, it's a wild story. It has a cool premise, great characters. And then when I came back to it, it's like, oh, now I got free time. I was flying through hundreds of pages a day in the last little bit to finish it because I was like, oh man, it's taken a while for me to read this, but it is a good book. So I was like, yeah, let me just rip through it and finish it. And that's what I did. And it was very enjoyable. So I hope you enjoyed this review. The next review for 38 will be on a newer book called Revival, so stay tuned for that. And as far as the music stuff goes, just a quick update. The first album in a while will drop later this month, and there will be many other albums to follow. So stay tuned for all the new music from yours truly, Super Kami Guru Alucard. Hope you enjoyed this review. Until next time. Matinee. Peace out.